Okay, so if you're trying to track the immediate threat of Storm Bram, you know the information coming in right now is just, it's a chaotic mix, isn't it?
It is. It's a lot of warnings, a lot of projections.
So our mission in this deep dive is to try and cut through all that meteorological noise and just deliver the core things you need to know quickly and clearly.
Exactly. We're focusing on the data we have, the forecast for strong winds, heavy rain, and then translating what those numbers actually mean.
Into real-world risks.
Yeah, for travel, for your home, just so you can understand the scale of what's heading our way. Clarity is it's crucial right now.
Let's get right to it then, Storm Bram. The name is already all over the forecasts, but before we get into the trajectory, where did it even come from?
Well, what's fascinating here is the name itself gives us the very first clue about its path.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Storm Bram was actually named by Met Éireann.
Met Éireann, so that's Ireland's equivalent of the Met Office.
Exactly, their official state meteorological service.
And that's more than just a bit of trivia, right? If Ireland names it first, that suggests the storm sort of brewed up on the far western edge.
Precisely. It tells you the initial, most intense impacts were likely expected to hit Ireland first, even briefly, before it swept over towards the UK. It helps us trace where it started.
Right. It gives you the genesis of the system.
And the trajectory completely reflects that. The latest modeling shows Bram moving mostly north and staying generally to the west of the UK mainland.
But even staying west still means a huge part of Britain is going to get clipped by some pretty severe weather.
A massive geographic area, yes.
So if it's rolling in from the Atlantic, what's the timeline we're looking at? Is this a quick overnight thing, or are we in for a longer event?
This is definitely a prolonged event. That's the major concern here.
Okay.
The first heavy rain and winds, they start later today, on Monday. But the real issue is the duration. The high winds aren't expected to really die down until Wednesday morning.
Wow, so we're talking about a sustained, high-intensity event lasting almost 48 hours for some people.
For many regions, yes, 48 hours.
And 48 hours of severe winds that's exhausting for people, for infrastructure, for everything.
It really is. It sets the stage for a very rough couple of days.
Okay, so let's shift to the geography of that risk. If the storm is tracking north and west, where are the warnings telling us this thing is going to hit hardest?
The list of areas under high alert is pretty extensive. It covers nearly the entire western side of Britain.
So we're talking.
We're looking at widespread alerts for Scotland, Northern Ireland, Wales, and then big chunks of northwest and southwest England.
So that's stretching all the way from, say, the coasts around Cornwall and Wales right up to the Scottish Highlands. That's a huge exposure.
A massive area. And in terms of warnings, we're seeing a mix of yellow and amber warnings for both wind and rain across those regions.
And a yellow warning is sort of a be aware, isn't it? A heads up.
It is. Be ready. Maybe make some minor preparations. But the amber warning, that's a serious escalation. It means there's a significant potential risk to life and property.
So that means you need to take action, change your plans.
Definitely. Adjust travel plans immediately.
We should focus on that highest alert level then. If we drill down on that critical amber warning for wind, what are the specifics? The timing, the location?
The sources are really clear on this. The most dangerous period, according to the models, is an 8-hour window on Tuesday.
Okay.
The amber warning for wind is valid from 4 p.m. on Tuesday until midnight that same evening.
So that 8-hour window, Tuesday afternoon into the evening, that's when we expect the worst of it, the maximum disruption.
That's the peak, yes.
And where exactly is that highest level warning focus?
Crucially, this specific amber warning covers northwest Scotland. So if you are in that region or you're planning to travel there, that 4 to midnight window on Tuesday is absolutely vital to know about.
Conditions could get very hazardous very fast.
Extremely fast.
Right, that gives us the time and the place. Now let's get into the numbers behind the threat. This is where it gets really interesting because we need to translate these warnings into actual wind speeds.
Okay, so with the wind, we're really looking at 2 tiers of concern. The first is the widespread expectation for most of the affected areas.
And what's that?
We're talking sustained winds of 50 to 60 miles per hour, pretty widely.
And 50 to 60 is already enough to cause problems. It can damage fences, make driving tricky, especially for larger vehicles.
For sure. It demands real caution.
But the data point that really caught my eye in the modeling was the projection for the absolute peak gusts. This isn't just a strong gale.
No, it isn't. The sources are highlighting the most severe projected speeds. The gusts reaching 70 to 80 miles per hour.
80 miles per hour. And where is the primary risk area for those speeds?
Critically, that's the northwest of England,
Yep.
right? Which, is a heavily populated area with a lot of critical road and rail networks.
70 to 80 miles per hour is a fundamental shift in the threat level.
Yeah.
I mean, for context, meteorologists consider anything above 73 miles per hour to be hurricane force, right?
That's exactly right. And that's the difference between an inconvenience and a major incident.
A huge difference.
The sustained 50 to 60 mile per hour wind, that causes travel disruption. But the 70 to 80 mile per hour gusts, that's a major threat. Flying debris, serious structural damage, infrastructure failure, it's a different beast entirely.
So we have these extremely high, potentially hurricane force winds in the northwest, but that's only half the story, isn't it? We also have to talk about the rain.
Exactly, the dual threat.
So what's the outlook on the rain front? What's the flood potential?
The latest data is projecting heavy rainfall across all the western regions. Generally, we're looking at a substantial 40 to 60 millimeters of rain in many places.
Which is already worrying, especially when you have high winds driving it sideways into buildings. But just like the wind, some areas are going to get it much worse.
That's right. We need to pay very close attention to Wales and to southwest England.
Why there specifically?
Well, their geography makes them prone to high volumes of runoff, and the rainfall predictions there are, well, they're concerning. We could see up to 80 to 100 millimeters in some localized spots.
100 millimeters. That's about 4 inches of rain falling in, what, a 24 to 48-hour period? To put that in context for you listening, 100 millimeters is often close to the total average rainfall for an entire month in some of these places.
A month's worth of water in just 2 days.
The ground just can't absorb it that fast. It's overwhelming.
And that rapid saturation is the critical link to immediate severe risk. The Met Office is specifically warning that flooding to homes and buildings is a clear and tangible possibility.
So when you combine that dual threat wind ripping at power lines while water saturates the ground, it's pretty clear why the warnings are pointing to, well, total gridlock across the UK's western network.
It is. The synergy of wind and water is what makes the overall disruption so widespread. The warnings cover pretty much every form of transport.
So if you plan to move by road, rail, air, or sea on Monday evening or Tuesday, you should just assume there will be a significant delay or a cancellation.
That's the safest assumption. For roads, those 80-mile of gusts mean bridge closures, mandatory closures,
Yeah.
which creates huge bottlenecks.
And for rail.
For rail, it's a multifaceted danger. Track flooding, fallen trees on the lines, damage to the overhead electric wires from the wind, delays and cancellations for trains and buses will be routine.
And air travel will be grounded in a lot of places, especially airports in the north, Northern Ireland, and the west.
And we haven't even mentioned the ferries dealing with those gusts and really high turbulent seas. This isn't just localized gridlock. It's a regional paralysis across multiple modes of transport at the same time.
So beyond travel, the other key worry for people hunkering down is essential services, power, communications. What do the warnings say about that?
The data mentions a slight chance of power cuts.
Which we should probably analyze carefully.
I think so. When you're talking about 80 millibar gusts hitting ground that's already soaked by 100 millimeters of rain, trees are much, much easier to uproot.
And knock onto power lines.
Exactly. So the risk of downed infrastructure is substantially higher. You should prepare for the possibility of being without electricity for a while, especially in rural areas.
And finally, a quick word on the coast. It's easy to focus on wind and rain, but there's a third threat there.
The wave action, yeah. This is a big one for anyone near the sea. With those intense onshore winds, the sources specifically warn about large waves.
And if that combines with a high tide,
You could see waves overtopping sea defenses, which adds a whole other dimension to the flooding threat.
so that synthesis gives us a really comprehensive picture of what you need to do to prepare. Secure loose objects, plan for major travel disruption, and get ready for potential power cuts.
To just pull it all together, the key takeaways from the warnings are, first, the timing. It's late Monday through Wednesday morning, with that really dangerous peak on Tuesday afternoon for northwest Scotland.
Second, the geographical spread is enormous. It's from the big cities in northwest England all the way up to the remote Scottish Highlands.
And the third thing is the sheer severity of that dual threat. We're looking at hurricane-force gusts of 70 to 80 millimeter, coupled with potentially catastrophic rainfall of up to 100 millimeters.
So, what does this all mean for you? It means being specific. Knowing that 80 millibar gust speed is projected means you need to secure things you thought were safe. Knowing 100 millimeters of rain is coming means moving valuables off the ground floor if you're in a flood-prone area.
And if we just circle back to where we started our deep dive, we mentioned that Storm Bram was named by Met Éireann, Ireland's Met Office.
Right, they took the lead on naming it.
So here's a final thought. Given the forecast that the storm moves north and mostly west of the UK mainland, and yet we are seeing such severe warnings across Britain, what might that decision by Ireland to name it first tell you? Does it suggest that the area just west of the Irish coast was where it really intensified, where its central pressure dropped most severely?
Forcing them to take preemptive action, even if the bulk of the damage is now forecast for the UK.
Exactly. It's something to think about as you track this system over the next 48 hours.
The great reminder that the journey of a storm tells a story long before it even reaches our shores. Thank you for joining us for this crucial deep dive into the warnings for Storm Bram. Stay safe, stay informed, and we'll catch you on